welcome to another episode of Music Recommendations with me, Jack, from Tilleys Music Guidance. Today's show we have an incredible 5 independent unsigned acts on stage show, which is a record, and I'm really excited to share it with you today. So let's get on with the show. So the first recommendation I'm going to do today is Sour by Boyd Vision. Now, I heard this song recently and I haven't been able to stop playing it. I absolutely love it. It's a futuristic, danceable tune. There are some great synth sounds when you listen to the track, and it has a real nostalgic 80s feel to the song. Let's take a listen to it. When the synth sound breaks out in the chorus, it really takes the tune up a notch. It just takes it to another gear, and you can really find yourself really losing yourself to the beat of the track and the synth sounds. The song is naively melodic, kind of flashy, and kind of erotic in a way as well. The vocals are beautifully whispered into our ears, making the song just irresistible to listen to. So check it out.
Hey guys, I'm Jack from Solar Strides. Thanks Jack for having us on, and thank you all for having a watch and having a listen. The track that you're about to hear is our latest single, What's Wrong, What's Right, off our upcoming EP, which is out on the 18th of December, called Demos from Darker Days. The whole EP was recorded right here in my bedroom, in my house. So yeah, give it a listen, go give the EP some love, go give the single some love. Thank you guys, and hope you enjoy the track. Cheers.
So the song we're going to talk about from Solar Strides is today. It's called What's Wrong, What's Right, and is their newest single that's been released. So Solar Strides are a London-based indie band. So I was lucky enough to hear their track before it was actually released, so I feel quite privileged about that. You know, I really like this tune. It has a real real good feel-good sound to it, and it also has a real coming-of-age feel to the tune as well. Now, this could be the song that really propels the band into the mainstream limelight. That's how good it is. As soon as you hear the track, I automatically get flashes of everything. Especially as it reminds me of the opening track of the third album, To The Blade. It just has that real great film to it. The arrangement of this song is great, and there's an absolute brilliant guitar riff in the song that really sums up the emotions of the song. The vocals are sung with passion and pride.
It's hard when people second guess every consequence you've escaped. They may say you're too young to think this way, but you have your day, don't wait forever. It may take time. Can you define whether different
such famous venues in London, such as the Amersham Arms, which is quite a famous venue for up-and-coming acts, especially in the indie world. Unfortunately, the band has been hampered by the 2020 lockdown, closure of venues as well. So, unfortunately, the band haven't had the chance to perform at many bands this year, but hopefully 2021 will be a big year for the band to watch this space. So the next band are from the Ukraine, and I'm really excited to welcome the band on my show. They are called Krapka, KOMA, and they are an electronic girl group based in Lviv in Ukraine. So we'll go over to the girls now to tell you a bit more about their music.
Hi, we are Krapka, KOMA band from Ukraine. Our name means semicolon, like this sign. So in Ukrainian it sounds like Krapka, KOMA, dot and comma. She's Krapka, I'm KOMA. Okay?
Yeah.
So we play music which can't be defined.
Just yet, maybe later on. But for now, it's a mixture of styles.
Yes, a mixture of styles like trip hop, electro pop, down tempo, with some jazzy touch. I don't know.
A lo-fi feeling.
Yes.
Yeah, and regarding the instruments that we play, I mainly play keyboard and sometimes the guitar.
And I play drums, trumpet, and also we sing.
And that's a fairly new concept to us because we haven't been singing in other projects before, so this is a challenge. But it felt like we needed to start singing because the songs we were writing about, they were about emotions, and we wanted to kind of forced us to put it in writing, so it was kind of a natural process. And yeah, in September, it was we turned 1 year old, and that's when we released our first album, EP, that is called Time's Not Real, and it consists of 5 songs.
Yeah, it's even more compilation of all the songs we created during the first year. So each song reflects some emotions, like Asylum, our first song, is about the feeling of home, the shelter. Sweet Distraction is about little affections, little falling in love. Realize is about feeling of guilt, and Time's Not Real is about time, the notion of time. And our 5th song, in collaboration with Pixi Ink, is about the feeling of hope in these hard times. All these emotions are very different, I guess, but all people feel them sometimes, and it's like life, you know. Like life is a chaos of different emotions that we feel, and we think that it somehow relates into our presence on stage. Like we also
operate a lot of instruments at the same time.
It can look like chaos, but we can control this chaos.
Handle it.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, hope that you will enjoy our songs, and please follow us, Krapka, KOMA Music, everywhere. And thanks a lot to Tilleys Music Guidance for having us today. Thank you.
Bye.
So the band appear on stage singing and playing a variety of instruments such as electronic drums, keyboards, synthesizers, guitars and trumpets. And this creates a fusion of electronic soundscapes. The duo combines features of down-tempo, indie, electronica, trip hop and electro pop. So their single, Real I Realize Real Lies, has a beautiful jazz influence on this track, which I absolutely love. It combines the past with the future. You can really hear the influence of Radiohead, who the band are really inspired by, and this is definitely a song that you can hear, that you can really chill out to. It's just perfectly laid back bliss. So check them out. It's worth it. So the next group we're going to look at today is a Scottish duo, another electro group called Gefahrgeist, okay? And the song is called Graceless.
Hi everyone, Fiona Liddell from Gefahrgeist here to give you an introduction to our debut single Graceless, which you're about to hear. Graceless started off as a piano jam whilst I was waiting for a student called Grace to turn up for a vocal lesson. Hence Graceless, very funny, I know. And I gave it to my friend and partner in Gefahrgeist, Neil Ray, who went with the chords and the lyrics and created the gorgeous sort of dreamy electronic soundscape of the song. And then we got our friend Esther to put a bit of harp over it as well, so listen out for some of that too. And yeah, we got our friend Tyler to do a whole animated video to it as well, so it's a whole production, and we really hope you enjoy Graceless. Here it is.
Needless to say, isn't it got bad? We have come so far to find nobody there. Doubtless of all traditional ways, you will soldier on for another day.
Now the song is a beautiful, laid-back, blissful, chill tune with a succulent beat. When the song starts, the vocals are almost hauntingly hummed into our ears, and it gives that feel of almost mermaid-esque sound. The tune then breaks into a soulful yet ambient tune, which flows with a slow beat with added smooth, silky vocals. You know, it's like tranquility at its best. The song really reminds me of something like, it's like the debut of 07. Our next act that we're going to look at today is a musician called Pixi Ink.
Hey, this is Pixi Ink. Thanks for having me on the show. This is my new track, Still.
is an Irish, London-based singer-songwriter and also producer. The music is fusing soulful and more spoken word style vocals, and also the music is electronic soundscapes for her signature sound. Now, Pixi Ink has also just collaborated with previous guest Krapka, KOMA. They've just created an absolute brilliant tune called Sugar Moon, so you should check that out. Now, her latest track has a laid-back, chilled bliss vibe with very heavy, slow, soulful beats to the tune, whilst the lyrics are hauntingly whispered into our ears. It's like a cool ocean breeze taking you to places away from reality. It's a great tune to relax to and really unwind. The track also has an atmospheric vibe to it too. A tour also with Krapka, KOMA next year, and the reopening of venues will really propel Pixi Ink to the mainstream, and hopefully it'll be a big year for her next year. So check her out. Now, my next band we're going to look at today is indie band Vela Incident. They've just released their latest single called Home. So, up and coming indie acts, Vela Incident, are from Port Talbot in Wales. They recently released their single Home. It's a beautiful indie ballad. It's a beautiful indie ballad that really hits home with some absolutely passionate, great lyrics written for the song. The vocals really remind me of Ian Brown from Stone Roses, and the song is sung passionately with raw emotions, and when you hear that keyboard fused sound, it really gives me vibes of the Charlatans. You can really hear the Manchester indie scene in a lot of their sounds. So I recently caught up with the band just to find out a little bit more about themselves. So check out my interview with them. Hey Vela Incident, welcome to the show. Just a few questions just to get to know you. So how would you describe your music in 3 words?
I would say it's melodic, ambient, and nostalgic.
So how did the band get together?
We got together about 24-5 years ago as very, very small kids. And just kind of playing our own material in a small bedroom in one of the lads' houses, which then graduated to the downstairs living room when we got a little bit better and his dad could stand us. And then we kind of got given a big break around about the age of 14, I think it was, by a local Port Talbot band called Aubrey Straw. This was back when you could actually go in pubs under the age of 18. Yeah, we got given a couple of gigs by them. We got given 1 gig by them, and then we saw them the next day actually, and they handed us a sheet of paper with a list of their upcoming gigs and saying we want you to support us in those gigs. So we did a lot throughout our teens, and then we kind of went our separate ways later on in our teens and into our sort of as you're approaching our early 20s. Two of us moved to different parts of the country. We got back together about 5 years ago with the intention of kind of playing the old stuff more or less for old time's sake, really, and perhaps recording it for our own, as I said earlier, nostalgic purposes. Life kind of got in the way, and that never really materialised. I think we only had like one jam session together. But then lockdown kind of, as I said, life got in the way, but then lockdown came along and we didn't have any life anymore. So we decided to actually start doing stuff. And it's incredibly progressed to where we are now, and it's long may it continue.
So where has growing up from where you guys are from influenced your sound?
Well, growing up in Port Talbot, there's not a lot to do, really. And Kelly Jones of Stereophonics once said that if you're a young kid growing up in Wales, you either play rugby or pick up a guitar. Out of all of us, there was only one of us that was anyway half decent at rugby, so that we all picked up guitars, and I guess the growing up in the 90s with Cool Cymru and having that sort of small town South Wales influence, as well as the kind of the Britpop movement that was going on at the time, I think we could relate to what, a lot of these bands were growing up in small places. The Phonics' first album was more or less about where they grew up, and it kind of inspired us to write music. And we wrote a lot about at the time about getting out of the town, spreading our wings and stuff like that. So yeah, I guess growing up in a small town gives you a lot of time to think about developing a band's sound and lyrics and things like that.
So what has been the band's lockdown songs?
Well, all of them. As I said just now, we kind of got back together during lockdown to record and release our stuff that we'd sort of swore we were going to do for years and never did. So technically, although they've all been written outside of lockdown, they were all recorded and released in lockdown. So far we've had Hey You, Perfect Flaw, and Home.
What are the band's future plans?
Well, at the moment it's very difficult to make any plans. Obviously we are stuck in a never-ending cycle of lockdown and a little bit less lockdown, then more lockdown, a little bit less lockdown. Hopefully with the introduction of this vaccine, we could start to look at post coronavirus. And I think we would all agree that we've come far too far now with this for it to be just a kind of lockdown project, and we all kind of get back on with our lives. I think this has kind of changed all our lives, really. So yeah, future plans: get gigs, get famous, get rich, die young. Even though we probably missed the boat for that now. And yeah, just have some fun.
And also, do you have any advice for any future musicians listening?
Yeah, record, release. I know a few bands who do a hell of a lot of gigging and never spend any time in the studio. It's great, but it just doesn't take you to that next level. It'll get you some great gigs around where you live, possibly. But that's about it. I would say record, release. Don't be proud of your recordings. We've been recording on mobile phones using some pretty basic equipment. All right, we've had a bit of help in terms of the mixing and mastering and developing and stuff like that from people who know what they're doing. But a lot of bands will wait until lockdown is over and wait until they can all save a load of money and get in a really posh studio and record 2 songs, and that's and then maybe a year later they'll do another 2 songs. Nowadays you've got everything you need in your mobile phone, more or less. So that allows you to be creative as well. So our songs have come on completely differently to what they were when we first wrote them as just gigging them. So I would say record, because it'll not only help you in terms of releasing songs and getting your music out there, but it'll also help you develop in terms of your writing and your producing.
Great. Thanks so much, guys, for taking part and answering my questions. Really appreciate you taking time out to answer, and also best of luck in the future. Take care, guys, and all the best. So thank you all to the bands that have appeared on today's show. It's also a first that I've had more than 2 acts in it, so I hopefully look forward to seeing you all in 2021. So that's it for another episode this week. Thanks so much for watching. Take care. And also thank you for watching and supporting unsigned and independent artists. Take care, guys. See you later.